Welcome back to another episode of Locked In. Tonight, me and Rev will be venturing into the Tennessee landscape with their litigation with the NCAA in court right now. And it's a big news headline, especially for the restrictions and the future of the NCAA and the future of college football, because this has big ties to college football turning into semi-pro football and not college football. So, big news today out of Tennessee where me and Locke reside. Pretty interesting for everybody, especially us. I know Rev has it pulled up right now. Would you like to get into what actually happened today, Rev?
So while this is only, I guess it started with only Tennessee. The NCAA opened up an investigation due to NIL misconduct in their view. As you can see down here, we have it put up on the screen. The NCAA's case against Tennessee football centers around quarterback Nico, who signed a NIL deal that's believed to be in the $8 million range. And that was reported on a long time ago. Everybody's kind of known that. And I think there was an expectation that at some point that she was going to drop, the NCAA was going to try and flex a little bit and
Well,
investigate. Go
can I
ahead.
get into what this spanned from, Rev, for a second? So
Yeah.
basically, Tennessee was very vocal about, hey, we signed this quarterback that's so great for $8 million. You don't really see that a lot. People flaunting, hey, we spent this much money on blah blah blah. So a lot of teams don't do that for this exact reason. But the main concern was that the Tennessee had a booster use a private jet to fly Nico and his entire family out to Tennessee to sign a contract um, for the NIL deal of $8 million. That was the big thing. The private jet. That was the big concern that the NCAA had. So the NCAA tried to put the hammer down on Tennessee, and Tennessee fought back with Virginia and some other people following suit in the law through their attorneys and stuff of the state, through the district attorneys and a lot more legal power. But so the main thing was that Nico and his family traveled on a private jet to Tennessee to sign that $8 million contract. That was the big thing that the NCAA had a problem with. Okay, you can continue now, Riff.
Right. So with that background, and Tennessee and Virginia decided to say, no, we're not going to let this go. We're going to fight back on this. We don't think that we don't think that this is right. We don't think this is fair. This is not in competitive spirit. If you as like and I guess in a turn that they said back as an organization, if you tried to stop or if someone tried to stop you from negotiating to the full extent of your rights for deals or competition or signing, whether it be TV, whatever, whatever it is, when you have the ability to go into a free market and explore your options to get the highest dollar sign you can for your services, whatever they may be, you would fight any organization that tries to suppress that. So basically, Tennessee is saying that's you're the organization trying to suppress us from being able to fully, well, really the kids. It's they are using the athletes as their avenue of the suit, which is saying you cannot put all these restrictions down and stop these kids from having a full free market. These kids need to be able to discuss with all the universities all of their options. So they sued back. And as of today, the NCAA has been given a major slap on the wrist. And we don't know what the full extent of this is going to be, but currently they cannot enforce rules relating to third party negotiation on NIL. And that simplified means they don't have any power currently to stop universities or investigate universities in NIL conduct. And that can turn into a very interesting snowball effect. We'll just have to see. But right now, until this matter is concluded, the NCAA has lost a lot of its power. And that's something that they recently have been trying to, I guess, show. The NCAA has been, I guess, well knocked for their just complete disaster of a governing body over college athletics, mainly college football, and they've had a plenty of issues over the years. But since the NIL landscape has been upon us, There have been very wishy-washy rules. Things don't make sense. It feels like some schools get punished here while other schools are getting away scot-free. The NCAA seems to be just cherry picking who they want to take fights with based on maybe they think they can win them or maybe they think the school won't fight it. And the NCAA has been trying to flex themselves a little bit to seem as if they're in more control than they are, even though over the last few years we've kind of seen what what little control they had has started to drift away from them, and they have been grasping at straws. Like we also had the news that the NCAA put more recruiting restrictions as far as like decorating players' rooms or recruits taking pictures of the locker room or on their recruiting visits. So they're just pushing like random rules out there, trying to say, "Hey, we're still the ones in control." And that's also, to me, the NCAA has done this against a couple schools. They knocked down on Tennessee, they knocked on Florida State, they knocked on Florida, and a couple other ones, trying to make examples of these different universities and programs, saying, "Hey, we still have the power." And Tennessee, along with Virginia, helping with the suit, they initially have won. Now, this doesn't mean that this is going to stay this way. Obviously, this has to go its full course, and whatever result comes of it, then I guess the bigger picture will start showing. But for right now, what this shows is the NCAA has taken another loss in court. Now, in other times in court, they've kind of backed away a little bit. They've they've shied away or not been super strong against what's happened. But I will say with this one, they came out pretty strongly, which tells me they're going to try and fight this, which obviously they're going to want to, because this would be a complete loss of power if they ended up not being able to win this thing. But this quote right here: "Turning upside down rules overwhelmingly supported by member schools will aggravate an already chaotic collegiate environment, further diminishing protections for student athletes from exploitation," the NCAA said in a statement. The NCAA fully supports student athletes making money from their NIL and is making changes to deliver more benefits to student athletes. But endless patchwork of state laws and court opinions make clear partnering with Congress is necessary to provide stability for the future of all college athletes. And this is something that the NCAA has been trying to do for a few years now, which is get Congress involved in helping them establish governance over what's going on in collegiate sports, mainly football. Obviously, football is the driver for all things college athletics. If you look at a breakdown of colleges' income within each sport, you will see football sky high. You might see basketball, maybe another sport, maybe baseball, will be around even or making a little bit of money, and then the rest of them, however many they have, will be in the red. So football is what makes the world go round in college athletics. That's the main focus here. And with football being the thing that's pushing away from the NCAA, over and over again, you're seeing more things against it, trying to be their own thing. This does speak into what Chance talked about at the intro, a semi-pro look, where you're getting away from collegiate sports and you're going to semi-pro, if not just full pro, just an under league because they got younger people in it. It's definitely a very interesting issue. What I find just massive about this is two states fought back, they won, and now the NCAA has been barred from uh, pursuing restrictions against schools for NIL issues. Now they're still going to be they have an option to try and still fight this Tennessee case. They can kind of revamp their suit and the investigation. They can go a different route and still try and get Tennessee on this if they want to. I don't know. They kind of go hand in hand as far as the Tennessee one and also this larger NIL picture. But you can't fully investigate on the grounds that they currently are, because you might be investigating something that is eventually ruled illegal by the NIL issue. So they're both very much interconnected. There's a whole lot of legal jargon here. I don't fully understand it. I've been trying to follow along, but the biggest thing that I see is the NCAA took a massive loss today, and now they cannot enforce regulations on NIL via collectives. So unless that these colleges are in states that prevent pay for play, it's essentially pay for play as a part of college football right now. And while the NCAA can't enforce regulations, the thought among insiders and some other people that have been talking about this is colleges can now just very easily start spending a lot more money freely without having to jump through hoops that NIL has created. That might not happen this late into the recruiting cycle, you're wondering if some teams like Ohio State, they've spent a lot of money already through their collectives. Do they really need to spend much more to get better kids on the roster? I would point you to the fact that we have one more transfer portal window in April, and if this is not resolved, if by April, which these things take a long time, so it highly doubtful that it would be, when that transfer portal opens, you might be seeing open season as far as these schools being able to go crazy with the money that they're able to use and offer these transfers. It just depends. I I think it's something to monitor going forward. But the reason that I guess I saw this and I was like, wow, this is big. This is a big thing. Is there's so much momentum right now coming against the NCAA. This is just the next one. I don't know if this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it does feel like we are getting closer and closer. And every single time this happens, a new thing comes up. It does feel as if the NCAA is on their last legs. So this is something that we'll keep monitoring. We'll keep talking about as new things get added. But something we wanted just to bring attention to because first, I think it flew under the radar for some people today, and other people they're taking it really, as a very big deal.
Yeah, the NCAA was first made to, stop cheating in college football. And, we're to a point now where it's like the only way to stop cheating in college football is to get rid of the NCAA, which, goes against everything why it was created in the first place. And, it's just really crazy how they can't put anything on it because none of the courts will help them and Congress will not help the NCAA in, making it sustainable and making it fair for everybody because, that's Tennessee's thing. The NCAA wanted to open an investigation into Tennessee, and Tennessee said, "Hey, we're going to lose money just because of this. People are going to think we're corrupt. We're going to lose recruits. Blah 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 blah. It's going to have a lot of infractions upon us that we're going to have to deal with. It's going to ultimately lose us money." So, Tennessee's Congress and Attorney Generals were like, "Hey, we're not going to let that happen." Virginia followed suit, and basically everybody's standing up against the NCAA. I'd say the NCAA is pretty soon going to be just no longer a thing. If we're being honest, there's no way it can be with all this happening because Tennessee's going to push for the NCAA to be disbanded and basically have no power in college football. And at that point, it's like who resides over the powers that be, and it's like the teams do pretty much. So I mean, with that being said, the ramifications of this are pretty big because if you don't have college football, then you don't have any college sports. I mean, that's just how it goes. College football makes every college money. So without college football, no sport is going to be able to be sustained at any college level with no money coming in. So, I mean, it's a pretty big thing. Not a lot of people see it right now, but it will be. So they need to figure out pretty quick how to make sure that the maybe even without the NCAA, but like how college football stays college football and connected to colleges because that's what college football is. And if you make it a semi-pro team, sure they can pay the colleges to use their name and their images and whatever and play games on campus and the stadiums and stuff, but it's not going to be the same. So, I mean, they really need to figure out a way to make sure that the college football stays within the colleges and that way the other college sports can get money because of it. And, I mean, maybe not all of us like to watch women's track and field or women's softball or, even swimming, golf, whatever it may be, any other sport out there. But, them sports do matter. And, I don't want to see them all go away just because football does go semi pro. So I'd rather have it back in college. So, a lot of things that we need to find out in the future, a lot of ramifications that can come of it. I'm just hoping that the NCAA figures out a way, or even just college football in general, figures out a way to make sure college football stays what it is in college football.
Yeah, we have a very interesting, I guess, moment in time here where the NCAA is a corrupt organization and really nobody likes them. But at the same time, they are what has kept somewhat college football. I mean, college football has been making a push for the semi-pro look. I'm not saying that's what the schools are aiming for necessarily, but where the big money is and how everything is adjusting and evolving, there is a fear by many that as college football continues to change and continues to evolve into more money for the players, more money for the team, the coaches. I mean, the coaches' salaries are already unbelievable. As this continues to grow, without any restrictions or regulations, it's going to just implode and just turn into something that is unrecognizable by the people who've been fans of it for years and years. So while there definitely needs to be some change and there needs to be something that is able to kind of rein all this in, no one likes the NCAA. So there's a whole other conversation about how this could be handled or the different ideas that people have to see the college football stay college football, but also have a good governing body that isn't corrupt and whatever. One other thing I wanted to add to this is just a little bit of an interesting tidbit. About a month ago, maybe a little bit more than that, the Big Ten and the SEC announced this new little conglomerate of the two that they were going to be working together. It's like a little bit of an alliance between the two conferences. It's at this point, obviously, no secret that the biggest names in college football, save a few, are within the SEC and the Big Ten going into 2024. Pac-12 is now gone. Their biggest schools went to the Big Ten. Obviously, you had some of the two biggest Big 12 schools go to the SEC with Oklahoma and Texas. You still have some stragglers in the Big 12. You still got some big schools in the ACC. But what I find really interesting is as that has been created, they mentioned in their creation litigation with the NCAA, current and future. And this was before what we see today. And I believe it was around the same time that Tennessee and Virginia were about. It was before, but right before Tennessee and Virginia sued the NCAA on January 31st. So what's so interesting to me? Obviously, Tennessee is in the SEC. Well, there have been rumors circulating in the last few days that Virginia and North Carolina are making a play to join the Big Ten. There seems to be mutual interest for both parties. And there's also a lot of talk that Clemson and Florida State will be joining the SEC, and that there's talks in between the two of them, and that the ACC is going to have another change. It won't obviously go down for the 2024 season. You're probably looking at a two-year window, just like we saw with Oklahoma and Texas. But the reason I bring this up, the two what are going to be and what almost already are super conferences within college football, the Big Ten and the SEC, they are now working together as what they said as a consulting body to help with college football guidance. What that says to me is that they are doing their best to get their hands on as much as they can to control the future of college football because they have the biggest brands, save a few. And then you see a suit that includes an SEC school and a possible rumored future Big Ten school, and then this alliance between the two conferences talked about litigation against the NCAA. Those things, all of these things keep happening, and they all seem to kind of just slightly touch each other and be related to one another. So again, I guess the overarching view is there is change coming down for college football. There already has been a lot over the last 10 years, but you could see some even bigger ones. And like Chance said, it's hard to see in 10 years a future where the NCAA survives this if the trajectory of where we're at now continues. But that's for another day, and we'll have to just keep covering it to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up. I would like to say, once more, appreciate all of y'all been doing. Continue to show your support, like, subscribe, comment. Like to hear your opinions. We always love interacting with y'all in the chat. Just thank y'all for everything y'all have done and y'all will do for us here at Locked In. We'll catch you next time.